Nigel Farage's political options today form a narrow, awkward corridor. The sentencing of Nathan Gill has torn open Reform UK's most vulnerable seam. It's like wearing a pair of jeans and bending over and everything rips. It's an uneasy proximity to Russian influence, or Russian underwear. Justice Chima Grubb's judgment was devastating, describing Gill's conduct as an abuse of office that corroded domestic and democratic trust. The bribery came through Oleg Voloshin, acting for Viktor Medvedchuk, one of Putin's closest allies. For any party, this would be grim. For a party already wrestling with accusations of indulgence towards the Kremlin, it is toxic. Farage's response tells its own story. Instead of addressing Gill tonight or committing to a serious internal inquiry, he has chosen diversion. It's not as if Farage doesn't have a voice. It's not as if he's not on television practically every night, wittering away on GB News. His criticism of Donald Trump's Ukraine peace policy is perfectly timed. Of all the stories available to him, he's picked the one with a Slavic resonance, but none of the domestic peril. He knows he cannot remain silent on Gill. He also knows he cannot concede political culpability at this moment, so he constructs a different battlefield. His remarks to the Daily Telegraph this evening are striking, not just because they show moral clarity, but because they show tactical necessity. He denounces the idea of Ukraine having its army, halving its army, rejects Trump's demand that Zelensky accepts territorial loss, and even hints at a desire for a counter-proposal from Kyiv. It is the sort of language designed to immunise him against the charge that Reform UK is sympathetic to Russia. His political calculus is obvious. If Labour wants to cast him as fawning over Putin, he will strike a posture that makes such attacks look lazy. But there's a hollowness in the choreography. These comments cost him little. They distance him from Trump on a convenient point without threatening their personal relationship or his cultivated image as the only British politician with direct access to the Oval Office. This is a disagreement chosen because it is safe. Trump's plan is already unpopular in the UK, already criticised across Europe, already framed as a capitulation. Farage isn't taking any risks here. He is surfing a consensus and deflecting. The problem, however, is that none of this answers the real question. Reform UK faces a credibility crisis over Russian entanglement. Gill's conviction is not ancient history, it is contemporary. It sits alongside Powell's association with Gill during the Caerphilly by-election. It sits alongside Farage's own repeated claim that NATO provoked the invasion of Ukraine by enlarging eastwards. And it sits alongside his unconvincing recent effort to look robust by saying he would shoot down Russian jets in Allied airspace. That was theatre. Today's Ukraine intervention is theatre. Neither addresses the structural doubt that Reform's senior ranks have been far too porous to maintain, to malign foreign influence. What is most revealing is Farage's refusal to follow Starmer's simple request, an internal inquiry into Reform UK's Russia links. A confident leader with nothing to hide would order one immediately. Instead, Farage tries to change the subject. He hopes the public will focus on his criticism of Trump rather than his decade-long prison sentence imposed on a former reform leader. He hopes that appearing to defend Ukraine wipes away the stain of Gill's corruption. He hopes that by speaking loudly today, people will stop asking why he stayed quiet yesterday. The political danger for Farage is obvious. Reform's rise in the polls has been fueled by voters who see him as authentic and unbiddable. Russian entanglements disrupt that story. They suggest something grubby, manipulated, unpatriotic. Government strategists have identified this as the fracture line to exploit, and today's events give them the clearest opportunity yet. If they can persuade voters that Reform UK was penetrated by pro-Kremlin actors, or that Farage is evasive about hostile foreign influence, then the party's insurgent momentum collapses. You can't be dabbling with foreigners and at the same time claiming to be patriotic or claiming to not want foreigners on your soil, can you? Farage's chosen diversion reinforces this vulnerability. You cannot fight a fire by pointing to a different fire elsewhere. His response to Gill's conviction needs to be decisive, transparent, and unsparing. Instead, he is given as an argument about Trump's peace plan, a topic entirely external to the matter at hand. His hope is that the public will treat his Ukraine stance as evidence of probity. Yet the contrast between the gravity of Gill's offence and the superficiality of Farage's reaction is too stark. To put it plainly, Farage has chosen the wrong battlefield. The attack line against him is not that he misreads Ukraine, it's that Reform UK has allowed itself to become entangled with the very forces Britain is helping Ukraine to resist. Unless he confronts that warning head-on, he will look evasive. And he is evasive. An evasion is poison to a populist. In the end, Farage's opinions today were threefold. First, he could have admitted the need for an internal investigation and promised full disclosure. Second, he could have suspended further reform candidates or officials pending vetting. Or third, he could have attempted a deflection. He chose the third. It's the most comfortable option in the short term, not opinion, and the most self-wounding in the long term. Politics rewards courage and punishes manoeuvre. As the knight says at the end of Indiana Jones and the Temple of and the Last Crusade, he chose wrongly. Today Farage has manoeuvred, and the question now is whether the electorate will see through it. I suspect they will, but as for his supporters, I don't think it will matter at all. They still think Farage is without fault because they don't look. They don't look. They don't listen. They just think, oh, there's a man sprouting the same sort of rubbish that I'm thinking. Ah, yes, and it informs my rubbish. This is the problem with Reform UK. It's not got anything really positive to say. It panders to people who have been sniffing around and feeling uncomfortable. Reform UK isn't making people feel more comfortable. Reform UK is making people feel more alienated, more isolated. And that is because the Conservative Party and the Labour Party are both independently proving to be useless.